Hello and welcome to Talking Reds special Christmas show. Yes, hosted by myself, Greg Oram, and my fellow Forest fan from across the Atlantic. It's Santa's little helper, Richard Spray.
Morgan gives white Christmas, where he'll shine under our new. With excellent vision, the 3 points will glisten this Christmas with Morgan Gibbs White.
Good morning and Merry Christmas, Richard Spray.
Yeah, you as well. Hey, I'm even wearing the Morgan Gibbs White jersey. I'm not going to turn around, but I'm wearing it. So perfect.
Well,
perfect choice.
I thought you
My
like
man.
Morgan Gibbs White, and I thought that
I
was
do.
going to be quite appropriate for you this Christmas. So, yes, indeed, everybody. We are here for the Christmas special today, and we hope that you will have fun with us on the official Christmas party show. We're going to be previewing the big game at the City Ground, so stick around for that. We, at the same time, will be having the usual madness with fun and games aplenty. We've got a couple of Talking Reds regulars with us from the start, but throughout the episode, we'll be joined by even more special guests who are going to pop in and say hello, give their view on the game ahead. It's possibly going to descend into chaos, and the drinks on this Christmas Eve may well be flowing already. I've just gone midday with your Baileys in your coffee, but we'll do our best to hold it together over the next hour or so. So, here with us, looking very festive, we have Raf, the red-nosed pundit, and the snowman, Landscape.
Super Chris one, Nottingham is having fun. Left foot and right foot now, he scores when he wants.
Merry Christmas, boys. How we doing? Raf, looking good over there with those reindeer antlers on?
Oh, mate, doing absolutely fantastic. We're literally just, could life be any better right now? It's Christmas. Forest are 4th in the league. It's bonkers. It's actually dreamland, and Santa is a red, no doubt.
Landscape. Feeling very festive over there with your little Santa hat on?
I'm feeling festive. I've got my Baileys coffee ready to kick off Christmas now. I'm at that point where most of the stuff is done. So, yeah, we're just looking forward to it big time.
Excellent stuff. So, everyone listening and joining, we want to say to
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Yeah, or like Phoebe Buffet would say,
Hey, happy Christmas Eve.
Happy Christmas Eve. So, we want to get straight into it. Hit the like and subscribe button if you can. You know how that works. I want to not waste too much time with all of that. So, we'll get straight into chatting about the match. It's the festive football period, Richard, which over here means that the games come thick and fast. Now, so obviously you watch the football from afar, being in America, but I think even in America you have like football or American football games on Christmas Day, if I'm not mistaken, or some kind of sports on Christmas Day. Is that right?
We do, and it's actually quite a few times you'll see basketball games. Typically, that's what kind of dominates the Christmas Day agenda. But not as much into the basketball as some. But yeah, that's kind of the general way it works.
I think it's a tradition over here, Raf. And we've grown up with it. They have the winter break in places like Germany and other European places. And there's been talk before about the games stopping at Christmas and giving the players a chance. We don't want to see the game stop, do we? We want to see them on Boxing Day. And
do you know what? I've as I've got older, I've seen this in a slightly different way, and I think it's 50-50. I love the fact it's magical. You've got games over Christmas, New Year. Everyone loves sport. Sport brings families together as well. You can all sit around. Everyone gets excited. It really pumps the atmosphere. I never feel sorry for footballers normally with the amount that they're paid, as long as they're sensible with their money. But there is a part of me which is, if they've got kids and their kids are young, and they probably do while they're still playing, are they around enough at Christmas, being able to get into Christmas with the food, the drink, and all the merriment, as much as if they are footballers? So that's the little bit that I do feel for the footballers at this time of year, that they can't lean into it as much as we do with their kids.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't really think about that. To be honest with you, they get paid really, really well, and I think they still get to have a Christmas of sorts. And I want my players playing football rather than sat at home eating turkey. I'm being really selfish, bar humbug. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, Sodom, send them wherever. Yeah. I think Lewis McGugan talked about it on Forest Focus on that last on their preview show, and he kind of said he didn't mind it to some extent. I think obviously it's not forever, is it? It's, for a 10-year career or whatever it ends up being. So it's not forever. They still get to enjoy Christmas afterwards. So yeah, let's have them for our entertainment.
Let's talk about the game then. We go into the Boxing Day match against Tottenham at home in great form, sitting in the top 4 at Christmas, which none of us ever imagined. Spurs down in 11th, and this is the kind of game that could end up 5-4 either way, really. Richard, what are your general thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how they approach us, because they're oddly similar in terms of percentage of where they attack. So like they like to attack the edges, similar to Brentford. So the question is, like, I'm sure we'll get into the lineups later, but yeah, how are they going to approach this match? Because I feel very confident. I feel confident coming in that we're going to be able to defend them well. I think we're going to be able to. I think we can match them, at least in some areas of the pitch from a personnel standpoint. So feeling confident. How could you not? Being 4th in the table, as you mentioned, winning 3 matches in a row, being at the City Ground on Boxing Day. We love a Boxing Day, right? We had a great match last season on Boxing Day against Newcastle. So it's going to be very, I think, electric in the stadium and in our ground. And I think that's only going to bode well for us, because I do believe we're going to walk away with the 3 points. I feel very, very confident that that's going to happen. So yeah, and what a better time to play them, because they're just giving up goals left and right. Plus they're missing a lot of their defensive back line too, which makes it a very good moment for Chris Wood to potentially shine. Maybe another Chris Wood hat trick. Let's hope for that.
What about you, Dan? Dan, are you feeling as confident as Richard sounds?
I think it's still a very, very tough game, and I think that the outlook about it could be 5-4 and it could be anything on the day, that they're sort of good one week, bad another. I don't think it's that. I think they play a different way, or they have more success against certain teams, which is one of the slides I've put together. So I actually think we're the kind of team where it actually is a 1-goal game. It's a 2-1 or a 1-0 or a 3-2, I suppose, if there are going to be goals. So I actually think it's tighter than them going against Liverpool at home. I think them away, they're a bit tighter. And I think against teams like us who are direct, we cause them problems. And I think that's why we can keep them a bit quieter and maybe nick it.
Raf, over to you then. The Spurs have been, leaking goals, and Liverpool put 6 past them. Forest haven't been as free scoring in some of their games, but that open play goal rather situation seems to be better. How are you feeling about this one?
So I'm feeling confident about it, and I do feel more confident about this than I do Everton, for example. Just again, like Dan saying, matchups of how our styles match up and what we find easier than what we don't. But there is a word of caution. Yes, they conceded 6 against the Liverpool side, but they also scored 3 goals against that Liverpool side as well, which hardly give up any goals. So, and they've got a better defensive record than we do, and they still conceded 3. So, I'm not skipping into this sweetness and light and we're just going to roll them over. We need to be at our best defensively, and we need to take our chances. But I do feel we will score. So if we can actually shut them out, the game is ours, for sure. I will come on to the actual who they're going to play in the matchups and who's probably going to probably have the best game in a long while, I think. But it is a little bit about that. And what really, really worries me about Spurs is they just never say die. Right, they came back from like, there were 2 goals behind, 4 goals behind, 3 goals behind, and they still came rolling forward, and they were still attacking. So I think the crowd will be massive. It will be the biggest difference. If Jed Spence is playing, if Brennan's playing, it'll get in their heads of how loud it is, and them thinking, "What if we just stayed here?" And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Fantastic. If you are joining us in the comments, please say hello. Mark Walwell is with us. Notice a couple of comments from him. Good afternoon and Merry Christmas to you, Mark. And so, let's see who's here with us today.
Top of the one year this Christmas. Tower score a goal. Tower one year this Christmas. Tower.
It's Holly from the Forest Women Fancast. How you doing, Holly? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, chaps. How we doing? Good to see you.
Great. Lovely to see you.
Looking very festive there, joining in with the festive
you.
fun, Holly. Thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Listen, our first caller and first one to hop in. You can stay for as long as you need to. I know you've got other things going on, so when you need to go, just let us know that you've got to hop off. But you're welcome to stay for as long as you need to, or as long as you can. But we're just talking to the boys about the Tottenham game. How are you feeling about this one ahead, Holly?
Oh, we can't be anything but confident, surely. I mean, what a fantastic win at the weekend against Brentford. And they're another team, aren't they, that we've not beaten in the Premier League, this new Premier League era. So I'm absolutely itching to beat them as much as we were absolutely itching to beat Brentford, and was delighted to beat Brentford. So yeah, really excited. Fortunately, I can't go, but I'll be watching it on the telly, and yeah, bring it on. Bring on the Spurs. Can't wait.
Well, whilst you're here, Holly, let's quickly interject and talk about the women, the Forest women team. They got a draw the other day in one of the cups. What can you tell us which cup that was? That they would draw a semi-final, I think. Is that right? And they've been drawn away to play. I can't remember the name of the team now. If you could tell us.
Yeah, #United. So they play in Averley in Essex. So it's the semi-final of the FA Women's National League Cup. So it's basically the Tier 3 downwards League Cup, basically. So in the semi-final of that's going to be played on the 26th of January away. There should be a few of us going, actually. Ollie, who I do the podcast with, has organised hello Ollie, if you're watching, has organised a minibus from Nottingham, so there's going to be a few of us. Obviously, me being in London, it's not too far for me as well, so I'm actually quite pleased that we got driven against them. So yeah, they won it last year, actually, so it's a good draw for us, good test. And yeah, bring it on. We've also got Burnley on the 5th of January in the FA Cup, which should be exciting as well. So that's going to be a good draw for us. And yeah, really, really looking forward to the season starting again next season, because this big promotion push that we're going for, if the women get promoted to the Championship and the men get into Europe, I mean, that would just absolutely make my year. So fingers crossed.
And the Burnley game in the FA Cup is actually at the City Ground on Sunday the 5th. Tickets available for that. And the game in Averley, #United, that's the game that I'm going to try and get to as well, because it's down this way. So I'm going to try and get there. I think Orlando wants to come, my son, because it ain't going to be far for us as well. And I've been waiting for us to get a game down this way. And so fingers crossed, we will try and get along to that one. Okay, right. So thanks for being with us, Holly. Like I said, we're going to hopefully have another few guests joining us as well along the road. Oh, there goes the doorbell again. Goodness me. They're coming thick and fast today. Let's see who's at the door this time.
He runs down the left, Calamuts in a doorway. Then he cuts inside, Calamuts in a doorway.
Joining us from Forest Fan TV, good afternoon and Merry Christmas, Wolfie. Woo!
Afternoon, guys and girls. How you doing?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good, man. We're good. How are you feeling about the Spurs game on Thursday, Wolfie?
These Spurs and Man U, my two biggest ones. My best mate's a Man U fan. My brother's a Spurs fan, and we haven't beaten them since we've been back. And I've grown up, Forest always beat Spurs. Always beat Spurs. And I'm not liking it right now. I know we beat them in the cup, but I've been grounded so many times over Forest Spurs results as a kid. It was a lot of fisticuffs with me and my brother. So yeah, this one's big for me, guys.
Want to say good afternoon and hello to Anna Houston. Hi, Reds. Merry Christmas to you all. At work today, so she's going to be dipping in and out. Anna, we thank you again for your service as a GP to your community. Absolutely brilliant supporter of our podcast. What are we thinking about team shape then? Because we went into the game against Brentford and a curveball was thrown by Nuno by going 3 at the back. We saw Morato start against Eminem, something we'd thought about and talked about. So, Richard, do you think that Nuno's going to stick with that 3-4-3 as he stumbled upon a formula that could get the best out of our best players?
Yeah, that's a question, right? Because like I said earlier, I think the way that they operate, being Spurs, they similar in terms of percentages of where they attack from. So, but we also understand the quality of what they have in midfield compared to what we saw in Brentford. Not that Damsgaard is a terrible footballer; he's a good footballer, but the likes of James Maddison, where's Kulusevski gonna line up? It's gonna be interesting to see how they attack us. I don't know. I kind of tend to lean that way because I thought it was very effective. I think it's a good way to kind of make it harder to manage the edges of the pitch by having that setup, utilizing the wing backs a little bit more, especially with their shaky back line right now. I mean, Mporo's a good player, but he tends to bomb up the pitch a little bit more, right? Versus kind of staying stout in defense. So it might be a good opportunity for Callum to kind of get behind him because Callum looked very confident in the last match. And so I think he can have another good match, even though Mporo is a good player. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning that direction just based off of how they operate. But I'm still, it's always a crapshoot with Nuno. Now he's got these different sort of, formations that he can throw at you. Now he's starting to sort of go Thomas Frank-esque. I hate to say it that way because it's probably horrible to put it out there like that, but similar in terms of just this sort of mad scientist. I'm going to kind of mix it up in terms of formation, mix it up in terms of Swiss Army knife type players who are versatile, who can kind of move around the pitch and play in different areas and spaces and roles. And yeah, so I'm going with it. I think he's just going to wash, rinse, repeat. That's where I'm headed right now.
Just tidy up for us, Dan, if you can, about Morgan Gibbs-White, because there was talk that he was going to be suspended with the totting up of yellow cards, and it seems that he's not going to be because of the Brighton sending off situation. So are you able to shed any light on that?
No more light than you've just shed. You've shed all the light right there. That's how I understood it. Anyway, he's already served a ban effectively for 2 of those yellow cards, so you can't get banned again for the same thing. So he should be available. Correct. Yeah. And I, in terms of shape, I think I'm leaning more towards going back to the 4-2-3-1. I think because Spurs pin those wide players up high, I think your wing backs could end up being too defensive if we go for the sort of back 3, back 5, and it could get stuck in a back 3. So I would probably mix it up for this one and go back to what we know and leave a bit more freedom for the midfield, I suppose, to cause them some problems.
Want to quickly say hello to Big Arn, who's with us. Reached the point where we just trust in Nuno. Absolutely. No idea formation what he'll go with. And, mate, Crypto from FFTV, thank you so much for the tenner, basically. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all. Really generous of you. Really grateful. Thanks ever so much, Crypto, for that. Truly appreciated. Wolfie, you've been very critical of Anthony Elanga, and I think I have as well. I'm not going to throw you to the wolves. Boom, boom, I'm here all week. And so let's take a look at him. Last couple of games, he's really stepped up to the plate. What are your thoughts with Anthony Elanga now going into this one? Would you want him to start?
Yeah, he's the first name on the team sheet on this one because for me, I don't think the shape matters too much if it's a 3 or a 4. We have to play with width up front because Spurs end up in a back 2. As you guys were saying, Pedro Porro will bomb on. We know Spence, how attacking he is. And that creates the space in the width. You need Elanga's pace to get in behind. I assume it will be Spence on that side. His form has changed. It's good to see those goals. I feel he's a confidence player. Is it sustainable? We'll have to wait and see. The jury's still out for me, but for this game, he is number 1 on the team sheet. It just has to be. That pace, that space he's going to get I would like to see us attacking more down the right-hand side than the Callum Hudson-Odoi side. I just think we can get in behind from there. So I think that for me is key.
Thanks, mate.
And just on Morgan Gibbs, I spoke to the club, mate. It's right. He will play. Well, he is available.
It's okay. Morgan. So Wolfie confirmed he spoke to the club. Morgan's available to play, and we expect him to start. There's a few of us on, and there may be some more joining us. So just be mindful of any background noise on your mics, please, chaps. So if I mute you, it's because he's picking up a little bit in the background, and we don't want you to disturb the noise too much. Holly, I mean, Big Ange and Spurs. Just a quick word on them. You know, they've been a little bit all over the place potentially. Do you think that this is a game where Spurs are there for the taking?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I just think we need to get at them just from minute one, settle ourselves down and just bring the atmosphere like we had against Villa, which was absolutely cracking. And I see no reason why we can't do that. Silence Jono, silence Solanke, you know, we'll be absolutely fine. And maybe we'll actually finally beat Spurs and have a Christmas miracle.
Well, let's hope so. Raf, we ask you to take a little bit of a look at the opposition on the previous shows. And you've had a look at Spurs. What have you got for us?
So this is really the opposite of Brentford, where you would have no idea how Brentford would set up and what they would do. Ange favours what he calls a 4-3-3, which I actually think is more akin to our usual 4-2-3-1. He just would say that if Maddison's the one in the middle rather than Kulusevski, got that person being slightly deeper. That does cause us a bit of a problem with the setup that we had against Brentford, because if you notice, Murillo was popping out to deal with Wissa. If he's being pulled out to deal with Maddison, that actually draws him a lot further into the midfield, which could actually cause a problem, because what we cannot forget is that Spurs' front four are pretty elite, right? And we've come unstuck against elite movement in a front four, and those are the games where we got spanked by 3 goals. So we actually need to be really deep and really tight, and we can't have people man marking and being pulled out of defence, because that is how they will get around us. The upside to that, though, is if we do keep deep, they usually don't have answers to break you down. They are trying to do a Forest and break on you in transition really quickly, get behind and score. Now, the way that I really see it is that if we take their attack against our defence, because they're so weak in our defence is better than their defence, and how much better we are in defence is a larger gap to how big their attack is better than ours. So on balance, I still think we come out on top. The key for them, and this is where we don't know, is a doggy fit or not? And he might be. And that then presents a bit of a different challenge in defence. But I don't think it really changes the style of how they go about things. Like Wolfie said, both, it doesn't matter who starts, be it Spence, be it Porro, be it Udogie, be it whoever it is, they are going to bomb on. And this is where I think this is a Callum Hudson-Odoi and Elanga game to the max. It's them breaking, it's them popping balls, laterals to who's got the most space as we're breaking, and just cause absolute chaos. So I'm not really fussed if we have a back 5 or a back 4 to match up against them. But what I would say is Bentancur is coming back. He looks like he is fit to go in midfield, which offers a slightly larger challenge to what Brentford did in the middle of midfield. There's a lot more bite in there. So I'm not sure if it's a kind of where we had Anderson and Morgan operating in that too, where we all looked at it and go, that's brave, but if this works, this is awesome. I don't know if it's steely enough to be able to deal with that. It might be that Anderson's put on Bentancur and it works like that, and we could still do it. But for me, their danger person, the one person, I've said this for a couple of seasons now, Kulusevski. Yep. He's the one that can make anything happen. And we don't give up large XG, but his goals are all fractional XG shots that just fly into the top corner. So I'm less worried about Solanke. I'm less worried about Son, actually. I'm less worried about Maddison. It is really managing and marshalling Kulusevski, and that is the piece. And it will make a difference if he plays in the middle and Brennan plays out wide, or he plays wide and Maddison plays through the middle. So I'm not entirely too sure, but the key really lies in squeezing him out the game, being tight at the back, and I think the matchup works for us.
Raf, you bang on. Like, that assessment is spot on. Kulusevski is their danger man. I mean, I would consider getting someone like Yates in just to man mark him. If you stop Kulusevski, you stop their threat, because Son is completely out of form. Solanke's not in great form, but he always tends to score against us, doesn't he, in his Bournemouth days? So I just think Kulusevski, annul him, you annul Spurs.
I think you're possibly right. I mean, I personally would be very happy to see the formation stay with the 3-4-3. I thought it worked really well. And I think that at home, with our wing backs in a progressive sense, like they were against Brentford, and then Hudson-Odoi and Elanga having some joy, I think this could well be the game where we just focus on undoing their defence. I think Milenkovic and Morato and Murillo, between them, will have enough to nullify what Spurs have got coming forwards. But we have the options to obviously to tweak it from the start, or from 10, 15 minutes in or so if we need to. Let's at this point then do a festive this.
I'm a scat man.
The stat man, someone's got Christmas music playing. Whoever's got Christmas music playing, if we could lose that would be really helpful, because it's playing through the microphone.
I'm really struggling. It's on my dad's Sonos. I'm not connected to it. I've got no idea how to get rid of it.
We'll mute you at the moment. That's fine, mate. We'll mute you. Let's put the stats on the board for Danscape. There we go. Right. Dan, what have you got for us?
Hello. Yeah, just a couple of slides this time. Keeping it brief, I've got you a nice AI image there in the background of Nuno pointing towards the Spurs logo saying, have you tried doing a bit of defending? That was what I thought was the theme of this one. And in terms of the actual stats, I looked at it and I thought Spurs away have actually got the best away record in the league defensively. They've only conceded 8 goals, which was just, crazy to think that they've somehow got the best away defensive record. But then when you look a little bit deeper beyond that, their opponents have given up an XG of 8 that they should have scored, that they haven't scored. And if they'd have took those chances and they conceded 16 away from home, then you'd actually be looking at Spurs having the 3rd worst away defence, only better than Wolves and Leicester. So on paper, or on an initial look, they've got a decent away defence. But actually, when you look a bit deeper, they're pretty much bottom 3 defence away from home. So that should give us some hope. So that was the first one.
And is that across the season? So including when they had Van der Ven and Romero fit, I assume, yeah.
Yeah, that's across the season. But it will come on to in the end. It depends who they're playing as to how their scorelines go, if you like. I think that's what's going to be more interesting is the last slide that looks at the opposition. In terms of goals, obviously, the big one that stands out is that they've got the most goals in the league. But they are overperforming their XG by 5. And I think you've touched on it with Kulusevski banging in, screamers, which he does on the regular. Maddison's the top scorer. I'm sure a few of his have been like low quality chances that he's put in from a distance. And, if you catch him on a day where that doesn't happen, then they aren't creating the same kind of chances as Liverpool and Chelsea, who are a couple of goals behind them, who are basically creating good chances and scoring good chances. Spurs are relying on a worldie to go in to kind of top up their goals, which can't happen every week. And then the last slide.
Bear me one moment. I'm going to skip it forward.
Here we go. So I looked at their away wins and their away defeats and the type of teams and where their sort of goals and things are coming from. And their away wins have been huge, to be fair. So a 5-0 against Southampton, a 4-0 against Man City, and a 3-0 against Man United. But then when you think of those teams and what style of team they are a possession team, likes to play a ton of short passes, knock the ball around, and Spurs have been very good at pressing those opposition, hassling them high up the pitch, nicking the ball and getting the goals against them. And you can see the average for those teams is they play 253 short passes per game. So then when you look at the games that Spurs have lost, they've been much tighter games. So they've been a 0-1, a 0-1, a 2-3, and a 1-2. So there's always just a 1 goal in it when they lose away from home, which is why sort of earlier I said I'm not sure it's going to be like a 5-4 game. It will be tighter than that, I think. But the difference is that the teams they've lost to play on average almost 100 short passes less per game. They are more direct teams. They're the teams that will just get the ball, pin them back, go straight into their half, And they're the teams that Spurs struggle against, and that's exactly the kind of team we are. So again, this gives me a lot of hope. And we average 151 short passes a game, so we are 100 less than the average of like Southampton, Man City, Man United. So as a style of opposition, we are not the style of opposition that Spurs have enjoyed playing against this season away from home, and that's got to give us a chance, but not necessarily like a 5-4 kind of game. Although it's Boxing Day, and anything happens on Boxing Day games.
It bodes well. It bodes well. Thank you very much for your stats, Danscape. Oh, there's the doorbell. Let's see who we've got coming in. Oh, all the way from down under.
Jota Silva, Jota Silva, Jota Silva, a Portuguese man from Vitoria, on the winger in the...
Scott from the Nottingham Forest Australia supporters group. How you doing, mate? G'day. Has Father Christmas arrived yet? You must be imminent over down under.
G'day, everybody. Great to be here. It is currently, it's 10:30 at the moment here in Queensland. It'll be 11:30 in New South Wales and Victoria. So Santa is not far. I'm sure if you look on the satellite radar, he will be pretty close by. Yes, but great to be here, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Holly, I know you've got a dash. Thank you so much for popping in and saying hello. We wish you and Nick and all your family a massively Merry Christmas, and come on your Reds. Thanks, Holly. I'll let you out.
No
right?
worries. Merry Christmas, everyone. Take care.
Christmas.
See you soon.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, so Holly's departed, and so we'll move ourselves on. Oh, one out. Another one coming in. Goodness me, who have we got this time? Oh, it's Paul
Nicolas Dominguez. Nicolas Dominguez. Nicolas Dominguez. Oh, Nicolas Dominguez.
Oh, Paul, we're looking very festive there in your jumper. How you doing, buddy? Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I'm good. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for letting me in. It's a bit like queuing up outside Ritzy, isn't it? 1 in, 1 out.
Outside Ritzy. Oh, Ritzy back in
I'm
the day.
loving that jumper, Paul.
Thinking of another venue.
It's got to the point where now it could then descend, folks, into Christmas carnage. So bear with us, because we're trying to get as many people on as possible. So we never know when the next person's going to arrive. Goodness me, there goes the flaming door again. Let's see who we've got this time. Who's coming on? It's the Cheese Trader!
You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Milankovic is taking you down.
Live from the Cheese Trader shop in York. There's the cheese.
What a jumper.
Proud sponsor, big friend, absolute legend, Stu Freestone. How you doing, buddy? Merry Christmas.
Hey, good, mate. Merry Christmas to you all. Great to see you all. It's very cluttered in here, isn't it? This is about as many people as I can fit in my shop. I've had to lock the door so nobody else can come in.
Well, we may well have more people joining us. And as if by magic, from the USA, Ross is with us. Hey there, Ross.
Dixie babies, score another goal of free for me.
Goodness me, Ross down in Austin, Texas. We've got Stu in York. Got Paul down near Hampton Court. Scott in Australia. Wolfie's in Bedfordshire somewhere. Raf, I think, is in London. Dan's in Sheffield. The head elf, Richard, is over in Oklahoma. And I'm here in Hertfordshire / London. Goodness me. Right. We are trying to...
Celebrity Squares, the old school show.
It's like Celebrity Squares, isn't it? We might even have one more guest coming as well. Goodness me. Scott, how are you feeling about the Boxing Day match? Let's get back to talking about Spurs. We were chatting before you arrived about the kind of shape we might see. Are you thinking 3-4-3 again? What are you saying?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. I was thinking about this just before I came on. They're playing 4-2-3-1. It has been our preferred formation, which we played pretty much up until the last game. Certainly starting with that formation. I was a little bit surprised. That we actually played 3-4-3. And the thing when I look at that formation, the thing that makes me think most is, like in midfield, we've got Morgan and Anderson in midfield, and like, who's going to do that grafting role? I think just before I joined, I'm sure I heard someone talk around having Yatesy in there as well. But look, I think Nuno, I think he'll revert back to 4-2-3-1. I think we will go back to that. I do hope that Morgan can play. I'm still not certain. I've heard some reports saying that he will be suspended. I'm getting a thumbs up from Raf.
No, he's not.
He's playing. No, he's been confirmed. He's playing.
He's playing.
He's not
suspended. He's not suspended.
Okay, yeah, because there was something in midweek. I read something in midweek saying that he had too many yellow cards. But that's great news that he's in. Obviously, we won't have Dominguez, but yeah, I think Nuno will revert back to 4-2-3-1. But it wasn't great to see him try a different formation and for it to be so successful against a team like Brentford, who are so strong attacking. I think the XG that they score on average 3 goals at home.
Yeah.
So for us to hold that team to a clean sheet and score a couple ourselves, it does. I think that's great that we can play that formation as well. But I do think Nuno will go back to 4-2-3-1. And can't wait for the game. I mean, just the feel-good factor at the moment with Forest, it is just it's sensational, and it's a home game. Walking over the bridge, that whole Boxing Day, few beers. It's just going to be. I would love to be there, but I'll have to be watching from afar down here in Australia. But looking forward to the game. I think we'll go 4-2-3-1. But
my only fear with the 4-2-3-1 is the options off the bench, because we know Dominguez is out, and that would, I think, just leave us. If we assume Yates starts in that would just leave us with Ward-Prowse as a bench option, which makes me think maybe he steps away from that to give himself a Ryan Yates as an option if he goes for the 3-back. I don't know if that's something he'll have to consider, because it doesn't seem like Ward-Prowse isn't the plans currently.
I wanted to just talk about the feel-good factor at the City Ground. And Ross, you mentioned when you were on with us on Sunday that you're Murillo's biggest fanboy. And I don't know if you saw this, but a video went out, I think it was yesterday. Murillo and his lovely wife, they're expecting a child, and they decided to have the gender reveal live at the City Ground.
Yeah, it was.
It was amazing, Ross. I mean, it's going to be a baby girl. It looks like. I mean, we spoke about him before. I wanted to kind of give you a chance to kind of, flex your, love for Murillo a little bit more. Do you think that if your hand is on your heart, do you really think that we'll be able to keep him for a third season?
Probably not. No. My love for him is greater than my love for the Kardashian-esque reveal. That it felt like I was watching an episode of the Kardashians, but it was a really nice gesture, I think, from the club. I mean, I think what's really important is for any player to get that sense of attachment to the club and community. So for it to be on the pitch, the memories will always live long for him with Nottingham, however long it goes for. So first up, congratulations to him. Beautiful moment, beautiful gesture from the club. But ultimately, there's a hierarchy in football, right? And certain clubs dominate certain things with certain players. And I know we're a big club. I know we've got great history but when it comes to high potential players, you also have to recognize where you're at. And if keeping for a third season, it would be because something incredible has happened, namely Champions League football. But again, we can dare to dream. And he's been great for us, and he'll always live long in the memory, however long it's going to be.
Indeed. So, Wolfie, I'm going to have to wish you a Merry Christmas and thank you for joining us, because we are pretty much stocked up. So, Wolfie, your support this year from FFTV to us has been really strong. Richard and I are both really grateful. You're a real friend to us, and your channel continues to grow. And so, thank you again. And I know that it's not your thing, but the festive season, we hope it's a pleasant one and a peaceful one for you. All right, buddy?
Yeah, spend it with your families, boys. Enjoy the period, and let's hope for 3 points and Yeah, I'm going back to bed, mate. I'm ill still, so have a great
Get well
Christmas.
soon.
all.
Cheers, Wolfie. Take care. Okay.
Can I just say on there? Oh, hang on. Someone
Oh, you can, but you
Someone at the
can,
door.
but it's all happening here.
Look, if
Because we've got
Murillo,
the
if
fact
Murillo's
check.
child is a
You
girl,
see him bobbing and weaving and scoring a screamer or two. But there's nothing you can do when our liner is running at you.
Matt Druitt, our friend the architect, is with us, looking very elfish. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you, chaps. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. We wanted you to be. You're part of the Talking Reds family, so it's a Christmas show, and we wanted you here. Just before you came on, Dan was going to say something, and I cut him off. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say if the gender reveal for Murillo was a girl, then basically from now on, I'm waiting 20 years for the Forest women's team to be in the Women's Super League and us to have a left-footed centre back by the name of Murillo. Yeah, whatever the female version of Murillo is.
Marilla. I love that. That's exactly what it should be. Stu, you've been so busy over Christmas. You've shipped what I think was 150 kilograms of cheese. My care package arrived this morning. I was very lucky to get some cheese through. Thank you so much for that. And it's been quite a year for you. Just tell us how things have been. You know, you are our sponsor, and we want people to come to you. And we had James coming to the shop from Dubai the other day. He travelled all the way over from where he was staying in the UK to have a chat. How great was that?
Oh, it's amazing. The idea that is a hell of a commute to get some cheese. You know, I'm not sure how well it will travel going back there, but it was incredible. And I think it's credit and a mark of the pod as well, and what everyone on the pod has kind of done, and the reputation is now preceding itself. You've got people from all around the world. It was only a few weeks ago, I think, you were talking about your listenership and sort of locations and things like that where people were listening from. And I think you said you had a couple in Dubai, so maybe James is putting it onto his pals or whatever. But no, I mean, it was great. He was a lovely bloke, and he came in sheerly because he'd heard us on the pod and he'd seen the adverts and stuff. And I would look, let's be straight. I'll sell cheese to anyone. I'd sell cheese to a Derby fan, but there'd be a bit of extra tax on that. You know what I mean? But no, it's been a phenomenal year. We've had our busiest year to date I've owned it for 4 years, and we're incrementally getting bigger and bigger. We had record day on Saturday for the first time in 6 years. It's been momentous. And like you said, Greg, I think since Friday alone, I've sold 150 kilos of cheese just since Friday. So
Mr. Cheese stats. Can't do those kind of cheese stats.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hope that you know some of that is in some small way. Some of our viewers and listeners are hopefully putting some orders in. You can get your 10% off with Talking Reds, quoting that to Stu. So, you know, looking forward to a big 2025, mate. Let's move on. I tell you what, it's non-stop. It's non-stop in this room, you know. Jamie Martin's with us.
Merry Christmas. Swings one in and then the Reds will win again. Singing Forest till I die.
Jamie Martin, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. I've got a bit of a cold, so that's the Christmas gift for me. But no, feeling good. Thank you for having me on, and Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas to you. So I think we might be maxed out at 10, but yeah, we are maxed out at 10. So we've got someone, I think, who might be hovering around and waiting. So we might have to let one of you out at some point soon, but not just yet. So our guest is waiting patiently. But Matt, you've been so kind to provide us on Talking Reds with some information from your expert eye on the City ground development. And so while you're here, you were kind enough to have a little think about the City ground and the latest, and you've put together a few slides for us just to present, to have a chat about and tell everyone about. So I'll put them on the screen and I'll hand over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I suppose I follow a lot of accounts on Twitter that, you know, document this kind of stuff, and I see various other accounts talking about the City ground as and when news is breaking. And I guess the take-home message from everything is that we're still unclear as to what the plan is going forward. So this first slide explains where we're currently at. So you can see on the screen there the various stands: existing Brian Clough, existing Bridgeford, existing Peter Taylor, and existing Trent. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see what the plans are currently in the planning system, which effectively takes the Peter Taylor stand up to 10,000. So it was around about 5,000 before, and they'll add an additional 5,000 seats. The literature that's gone out over the years has sort of suggested that it would go up to 38,000, but actually the current plans in with Rushcliffe take the capacity up to 35,000. So that additional 3K was on the basis that they would be able to extend the corner of the Bridgeford stand. Now, I'm sure we've all seen that video that's gone viral of the City Ground Stadium tour. Was uploaded last week or whenever it was. And the tour guide essentially said that the club were moving forward with the plans. They had acquired all but 2 properties behind the Bridgeford stand. So that to me suggests that they're looking at potentially applying to Rushcliffe to extend the Bridgeford stand at some point and demolish those properties behind. But any talk of that would be subject to a separate planning application. So the only thing on the table at the minute is the expansion of the Peter Taylor stand that you see there, which takes us up to 35,000, give or take. And what I haven't included in these figures are the additional, if you like, shipping containers that have been sort of constructed over the past year or so. And they'll obviously add a couple of hundred and the hospitality spaces as well, but I've not included those in the figures. So if you go to the next slide, what that video suggests is that the club are looking to take the Bridgeford stand roof completely off and potentially remove the upper tier, either by completely demolishing it and rebuilding it, or adding on and taking it up to the same height as the existing Brian Clough. And their target in those 2 phases would get us up to about 42,000. So in order to do that, you'd need something like 14,500 in the Bridgeford stand. And then if you go to the next slide, the long-term ambition of the owner is to get the ground up to something like 50,000, which would involve an extra 8,000 somewhere. Now that may come in the Trent End corners. Obviously the club shop, as you can see there in the Peter Taylor stand, is going in one of those corners. So it would most likely have to go between the Brian Clough and the other corner of the Trent End where the shipping containers currently are. But in order to do that, you're going to end up with quite a whopper of a stand. So something a bit like Anfield Main, which I've dropped on there to show you how big that is. Now, all of this is conditioned on attaining planning permission for all of those various stands. And the club may decide to do that individually one by one, or they may try and bring forward the Bridgeford stand and the Brian Clough together. The Brian Clough stand is actually very close to an old canal, which is not used, has been disused for a long time. So the idea would be that you'd culvert over that canal, in other words, build over it, create extra concourse space. You'd also have to move a couple of boat and kayak clubs from behind the Clough stand and shuffle them elsewhere along the Trent. But that's how you'd go about achieving 50k with the current plans on the table.
Okay, amazing. As ever, succinct and to the point. We're going to keep our fingers crossed that everything planning wise and goes through in the sort of time we need it to. I think the club are really hopeful they can get the diggers in the summer of 2025, which I know we've spoken, Matt, feels like a bit of a minor miracle, but we are the club of miracles. After all, we do know and we do love a little cheeky miracle. Ross from Texas has had to depart. So Ross has left us for the moment. He'll be back, I'm sure, with us after Christmas and into the new year. But that means that we can bring in our next person. There's the doorbell going. Oh, Bruce. How y'all? How you doing, Brucey?
Howdy. Hey, it's good to be on with Jamie, by the way. Good to see you. One of my favorite follows on Twitter, by the way. He's brilliant. Love it.
Excellent.
And Ross had to drop off. There's not enough room for two egos,
I know.
two Texas
We had to get
egos.
one texting out, one texting in.
It's like a Highlander.
I wasn't quite sure how this would go because we've never had so many people on the pod at the same time. We've got the cheese trader from his shop. He's even got customers in there at the moment. So we're live from the cheese trader. We've got the architect on. We've got a regular set of contributors. Scott from Down Under's with us, which is amazing. Paul, I'm going to come to you now because I'm going to do something that we haven't done with you.
Name that grandmother.
Yes, it is time for us to do a little bit of Name That Grandmother, a segment that we like to include. So, Paul, I'm coming at you on this Christmas Eve with Marmite. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
How am I cooking your steak?
Medium rare, please.
What's your favourite cheese?
Parmesan or buffalo mozzarella.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What's the best sandwich?
Chicken, bacon, and avocado.
Oh, yeah. And in the spirit of the segment, what are your grandmother's names?
The lovely but sadly dearly departed, both of them, Elsie and Betty.
Elsie and Betty. Classic, beautiful, wonderful grandma names. We salute you, grandmas, wherever you may be. Yes, we do things a little bit differently here on Talking Reds. And so if it wasn't on your bingo card, it wouldn't be a surprise. So, Jamie, thanks for being with us. I wanted to pick your brains a little bit because I know in your most recent blog, you were talking about this rather fetching looking individual. Lena Suluku is the new CEO at Nottingham Forest. She starts officially on January the 5th. What can you tell us about Lena, Jamie?
Well, she's a scholar, first of all. So Evangelos Marinakis is essentially bringing in someone with a really extensive knowledge of sports law and sports management, did a master's as well in Madrid. So she's got a lot of experience, not just in football. She worked in doping venue management as well. She did a bit in boxing, a bit in basketball also. So she covered a lot of sports and knows quite a lot about them, and eventually moved into the legal department of Olympiacos in 2016. So she rose up the ranks pretty quick, eventually became the CEO and general manager of Olympiacos, 3 titles, a couple of European campaigns in the Champions League, hopefully something that we can have at some point, which would be nice. So, yeah, she became, someone that was highly reputable in Greece, especially. Eventually, she got the move to Roma, which, of course, a lot of people will mention as not being highly successful. It's important to look at the factors that probably contributed to Roma being in a really difficult position. So they were in a really tough position with FFP. Jose Mourinho arguably left because of that. He struggled to deal with the board throughout that period because there was a lack of investment. And they brought in Daniel De Rossi, which, of course, we all know he's a Roma legend, nearly 2 decades at the club. So, but after 4 losses on the bounce to start the season, it was probably a bit harsh, to be fair, but they sacked him. And a lot of Roma fans blamed Lena for that. I don't know whether necessarily it was just her decision. And it was probably a harsh decision and one the Roma fans didn't like. But I would say that's probably the only period of her career that I can see where there's been really notable mistakes. So I know that I've seen a lot of people say, well, the Roma fans don't like her, so I'm not so sure. But remember what the Rangers fans said about Ross Wilson. Since then, he's negotiated some of the best transfers that we've had, in years. So I'm not saying that she's perfect, or we don't know yet. We've got to wait and see. But I would say that her track record, as Mr. Marinakis says, is definitely good enough to be the CEO of this club.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. it is Christmas Eve, and we have been previewing the Boxing Day match against with Nottingham Forest against Spurs live at the City Ground. We hope that the top four miracle, Paul, isn't just going to be something that peters out after Christmas. And I know that you were looking at teams in the top four over the last 30 years, I think you said.
Yep.
So you come up with a stat. And so just kind of give us what it was that you discovered on top four, people in the top four at Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last time we were in the top four at Christmas, obviously, as most people know, 1994. So I was 16. I was doing my GCSEs that year. And, you know, literally this year, my son is doing his GCSEs. So it's literally, it's a generational Christmas from a Forest perspective. So I just thought I'd have a bit of a delve into, you know, what has happened to, or what happened effectively each season for the clubs that were in fourth on Christmas Day over the last 30 years. And it makes pretty promising reading. So 14 of those 30 clubs finished in the top four, so just under half. So that suggests, you know, historically, we've got slightly less than half a 50-50 chance of staying in the top four. 20 of them finished in the top five, so 2/3 in the top five. 22 of the 30 in the top six, so that gives us a sort of 73% chance of a top six finish, and 76% in the top seven. So I guess if we're assuming that seventh place is Conference League, then, you know, 76-77% chance of achieving that, which is pretty good, and 93% of them finished in the top 10. So I think top 10 we could say pretty safely nailed on. And interestingly, if you look at some of the odds the bookies are offering for us to finish in the top 10, for example. So we're currently 11-4 on, so 4-11, so bet £11 to win 4. When actually the odds suggest that we are, you know, should be, you know, 9 times out of 10. We should get it more than 9 times out of 10. And for top 6, that's 73% chance. We're currently just over 3-1 against with the bookies to finish in the top 6, whereas history suggests that we should be the other way around, should be pretty much 3-1 on to finish in the top 6. So I don't know, not necessarily be on here and promote gambling, but there does seem to be some value out there for Forest to finish in top 6, top 10, based on, you know, at least that 30 years worth of history. So yeah, another reason for us to all make sure that we check our passports are in date, I think, and because we could well be heading for Europe in the next 12 months.
You know what? The more we talk about it, the more I'm so invested in the idea of us going into Europe next season. Because I seriously think, guys, I don't know about what you guys think. I seriously think we can hold our own in the Europa Conference easily, and also the Europa. And I would just love it if we could get Legia Warsaw, because I've got a bed then. I can fly over to Poland. I've got a bed in Warsaw at the in-laws. Can be easy peasy. So a bit of Legia action. Forest on tour. Bruce. Thanks for joining us from Texas over there. I was speaking to Richard at the start and talking to him about the differences between sports at Christmas and so on. We have our Boxing Day matches, and in America, lots takes place on Christmas Day. And you've been a Forest fan, I think, you know, well, for about 4 years or so. You found the club, and you've picked it up, and you've become as passionate as the next Forest guy along. So. How special do you think it can be this Christmas period for Forest? We've got back-to-back matches, or very close matches rather, with Spurs, and then we go to Everton, and then we're very, very quickly with our next game. We've just picked up 3 wins in a row. What do you think might happen with the next 3? Do you reckon we can get another 3 wins in a row?
Could, but will we? I don't know. I don't want to call that shot just yet because I don't want to jinx anything. But no, just enjoying the ride for the moment. Still buzzing about beating the Bees. That's a huge one. I hate Brentford. I think I mentioned that in our group message. I just can't. There's something about their style of play and Thomas Frank and those guys that just get under my skin and boil the blood. So that win was huge for me. Tottenham. Listen, it's funny that you said this was going to be a chaotic show, because that should be a chaotic game. you don't know which Tottenham's gonna pop in and show. And I actually agree with where's he at? Danscape. If you look at Tottenham and how they play, I know a lot of people are shouting for the back three or back five, but they actually struggle against a back four more so than a back three if you look at their past games at least. So, but there again, you just don't know what Tottenham's going to show up, right? You don't know. You don't know. And Everton's always pretty difficult. So it's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be chaotic, as you said. This show is going to be. Don't know what I'm going to get, but just enjoying the ride for the moment, watching us continue to grow up go up the table.
Yeah, we're looking up, definitely. Jamie, I know you've been commenting and blogging and obviously following for us. You're going to be going off to Australia yourself in 2025. So we need to try and hook you up with Scott over in the Australia supporters group. And I know that, Scott, you're looking to, I saw you put out something to your groups to try and organise a get-together. So yes. I'll come to you in a moment, Scott. We can chat about that. But Jamie, just quickly on the Spurs game, just want to get your thoughts on how you think it might turn out.
I agree with Bruce. You just don't know what Spurs you're going to get. I don't want to see us go too defensive against them because I think, when you give it to a team like Spurs, I mean, I know we're not maybe on the same caliber as Liverpool, even though we did beat them. But I think looking at the way that they played, they've got a lot of flaws. And Ange is, in essence, kind of refusing to change what he's doing at the moment. So we should look at that Liverpool game and see what Liverpool did. Even the mistakes as well they made when they conceded 3 to try and beat them. It's going to be a really tough game. Of course, even when they've lost Spurs, they do still score goals. So defensively, we really have to be on point. But I think, as Bruce said, go for a back four. I'd like to see us just go for it because they're going to do the same. So why shouldn't we? We're in the top 4. We should have respect for ourselves and not fear these sorts of opponents.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And Scott, just on your meetup, I think you're aiming for the Brighton game. I think I saw. So, I mean, how many guys are you hoping to pull together to get a watch along over there?
I mean, we're all obviously the geography of Australia. We're all in different cities. So we've got Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. The game itself is a good time because this is just after midday, so it's a 12:30 kickoff in the UK. So roughly 10:30 at night or 11:30 at night, depending on kind of where you are in Australia. I think we're trying to add a little bit of competition into it as well to try and encourage more and more people to come out and meet Forest fans in their area. We do, there's like some core members in those different states and in those different cities who sort of come together fairly regularly. We're obviously trying to, bring more people to these games, and this is a great opportunity, right? It's a pretty good kickoff for us. At 10:30 at night, that's about as good as it's going to get, I think, for a lot of Australia Forest fans. So yeah, I think it'd be brilliant. We're still going to keep pushing it in terms of trying to get more and more people involved. It's just good because everyone's got a story, where they're from in Nottingham, how come they came to be where they are in Australia, favorite players. It's just great to meet new people, new Forest fans, and just obviously enjoy the game. It should be a good game as well against Brighton. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Fantastic.
Matt Druitt, I think everyone who watches Talking Reds knows that you are actually a Fulham fan. You live in Nottingham, and you've got such a, not just a soft spot, you've got a real warm place for Forest. And when you talk in our WhatsApp group, we've got, it almost feels like you're a fan as much as us. But you are an outsider looking in terms of you support Fulham, and that's fine. So with that kind of more objective head on, just give us your kind of outside looking in view on Forest this season up to now. And do you think Spurs are there for the taking for Forest as well?
I do. I think let's hope Agent Johnson comes through with the goods tomorrow. I look and draw back to Fulham's sort of 2008, 9 and 10 seasons where we had the great escape under Roy Hodgson. And the next season we made it into Europe and we made it all the way to Europa League final. And as a Fulham fan, having followed them since the 90s, I'd never seen anything like that. We got into the Premier League we were always trying to push our way up the table, had a couple of near misses and relegation scraps. And actually, we went on and had that miracle season. Now, we didn't get the end result we all wanted, but I don't see why Forest can't go on and challenge in Europe next season. I know there's some reticence about finishing in a position and then not having the squad depth, etc., which is what's kind of happened to Newcastle and a little bit of Villa this season. But why not enjoy the ride? You may not get it again for another 10 or 20 years or never again. So you've got to live the dream. And yeah, I think, I follow Forest as much as I do Fulham now. And, I watch you guys play, and I think you're playing really attractive football under Nuno. It does the job, but it is exciting to watch. And I'm just praying that you go all the way this season, and hopefully we can slot in somewhere just below you, probably.
Well, listen, I mean, you've been so good to us, and we like to see teams like Fulham and even Bournemouth. We've had a little bit of angst with Bournemouth in the past, but I'd rather see Bournemouth doing something in the top six than Man United, just to shake things up a little bit, just to kind of like push the status quo out the window and let's kind of upset the apple cart. And as much as I was a bit cautious about Europe, I'm well on board with it now, because let's get it while we can. If it's there, let's take it, because you never know what might happen next season. It could be that our asses fall out and we end up having another struggle. So if European football is there for the taking, I say let's take it. Right, guys, we've gone past the hour mark, as I knew we would do. So bear with us, because this is going to be a slightly longer one, because there's so many people with us on the Christmas Eve pod. Through December, we've been doing the Talking Reds Advent calendar. And today is the 24th. It's the last day. So here is the final day of the Advent calendar.
The Talking Reds Nottingham Forest Advent calendar. Let's see who's behind door number 24. I wouldn't say he was the best manager in the business, but he's most certainly in the top one. The man who put Forest on the European map. The miracle man, old big head himself, Brian Clough. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Brian Clough's tenure at Nottingham Forest was nothing short of legendary, transforming the club from a mid-table team into European champions. His unique managerial style, sharp wit, and unwavering belief in his players ignited a sense of purpose and ambition that led Forest to back-to-back European Cups and an array of domestic triumphs as well. Clough's visionary leadership, built on a foundation of discipline, resilience, and trust in his players, left an indelible mark on the club. Under his guidance, Forest became a symbol of how determination, skill, and teamwork could overcome even the greatest of odds. And Clough's impact on the club and its fans remains a source of inspiration to this day. Brian Clough, of course, can only be the great Brian Clough, Richard, to be our final window or final door. And I know that we often say, look, we've got to look forward. Looking back can sometimes cause you problems. But we must look back on that time under Brian Clough and what he gave to the club and those European trophies. We must look back on them still with great pride, surely, eh?
100%. I mean, you think about Evangelos Marinakis, and I think his appreciation for Forest, and I think what drew him to the club itself was that era of time, right? It's what kind of success we had, and it's been clear how much he wants to bring us back to that point. He's certainly putting his money where his mouth is, and making us a competitive side. I mean, like Matt just talked about, look at the transition between last season to this season. It's incredible. I mean, there's a lot of factors in that, a lot of variables. But I remember the first match I ever went to, we played Luton, and my granddad went and got a newspaper. And as we're walking into to that corner shop, who's walking right out? Cloughie's walking out. And there, I was a 12-year-old kid, but I could feel the aura. I could feel the kind of, just mystique around him. And he's just a larger than life figure in our club's history. And so grateful for him, because he definitely, I think someone in the chat said he put us on the map before the map existed. And you can't disagree with that. It's incredible history we have, and it's great to see us kind of inching our way towards that and getting there. Well, I guess not even inching, just firmly, quickly moving towards that again, which is a fantastic thing to see.
Few people that we haven't mentioned. Jeff Budlington's there. Tricky Fred says, great to see so many of you from various pods. Yeah, Wolfie was with us earlier, and Nick Fadley was the one who was talking about Fluffy putting us on the map. Mark Preston. Yep, come on, you Reds. Forest are magic. How you doing, Mark? Stu, it must be quite tough for you because you're so busy in the shop and you want to get to matches as much as any of us, but you've obviously had to sacrifice going to games and probably listening to it on either the radio or however it is you're taking it in and catching the highlights. Obviously, when you've got a business to run and you know, we've all got to live and so on. But I mean, how difficult is it then? I guess the question is, how difficult is it now we're doing so well when we're top four? Does it make it even harder for you to miss out on going to matches?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously the business has got to come first. I get down when I can, but because we've had such success in the business in the last sort of like 6 months specifically, I've had to hire somebody, which is great because it means I've now got cover for any games that I can try and escape off to. My track record this season hasn't been fantastic in terms of games. I managed to get to the Fulham game, but the less said about that, the better, really. It was probably the worst one that I could have picked. And also, every Forest fan I speak to and let them know that I went to the Fulham game, they all really plead with me to not go to another game this season. But like, it's on you. It's on you. So I'm going to try and get down for the Southampton game at the back end of January, because January is always quieter. But like you say, I mean, it's phenomenal to see us doing so well. Every time I look at the table, I get a nosebleed from altitude sickness. It is absolutely phenomenal to see us performing at this level. Whether I'm listening to it through the radio or one of those dodgy sticks, or however I can get the content, I will. I didn't say which one. However I can get the content, I'll absorb it. And like you say, I'm enjoying every second of it. I'm not sure how much the customers are enjoying me having it like streaming off TalkSport or something on there. There are other radio stations available. But yeah, it's great. Gutting that I can't get there as much, but you know, business will come first, and I'll get there in the new year, and hopefully I can have a few beers with some of you when we next get down, and that'll be nice to see you. Also, get your cheese orders in, and I'll bring it down for you.
Get your cheese orders in. Richard and I can't and won't say anything more than in the new year, courtesy of Stu, our sponsor, we are fingers crossed hoping to have a very special guest join us on Talking Red. So I'm not going to say any more than that. Hasn't got over the line yet. We're pretty sure it will happen, but you know, Stu has been able to be someone who to set up a very special guest come on to Talking Reds in 2025. Okay, Spurs versus Forest at the City Ground. Let's have some score predictions. Danscape. You're on mute, so you better take yourself off mute.
I was just finishing off some Twiglets. Classic Christmas snack. For me, this is like a isolated game. Not a free hit, but it's like a little cup game in the middle of some more important games. So I'm more worried about Everton and Wolves getting 6 points from those, ideally. This is just a game to just go and enjoy and see if we can, you know, get a memorable result, I think. So I don't think it's going to define our season. I'm hoping we can keep them quiet like we didn't manage to do against Arsenal and Man City for that first 20 minutes, half an hour, so that we can grow into the game as opposed to chase it. I'm predicting 2-1 Forest.
2-1 from Danscape. Okay, Raf, I'll take you off mute. What are you saying, Raf?
It's just as how good our defence is. I've got a gut. My gut is we are going to win 2-1. But since I've been doing all the preview shows, I've always said we're not going to win, and we win. So for the good of the team, I'm going to say it's going to be 2-2.
Okay, 2-2 from Raf. Going down, Jamie Martin. What are you saying, Jamie Martin?
I feel boring now because I'm going to agree with Dan and Raf for the first part. 2-1, I think I'm going to go. I think we're going to get, you know, it'll be really nice, a late winner, like a Red and Loddy style goal. that one. That's what I want. 2-1.
Okay, Matt, I'm gonna come to you next. We're talking Forest Spurs. You got a score prediction for us?
Yeah, I think it's going to be goals galore. I think Nuno's going to take the chains off. It's going to be 3-2. And I think someone like Jota or Sosa is going to pump one in just in injury time and get it over the line.
Let's move along to Stu Freestone. What are you saying for the score prediction, Stu?
I'm actually going to agree with that as well. I think 3-2 Forest win. I think we've definitely got goals in us. I think we'll set up well. I think defensively we're solid. We're hard to beat. Milenkovic, I think he'll get another cheeky header in there. And I dream of seeing that Murillo 40-yarder. And it'd be lovely to see it on Boxing Day.
Brilliant. Paul Morley, what are you saying?
I am going to go for. We've had some cracking Boxing Day TV games over the years, haven't we? Obviously, last year being one away from home, 3-1. I'm going to go for a repeat of the. I think we did it twice against Leeds, 4-2. 4-2 Forest Boxing Day win.
4-2 Paul Morley. Scott down under, what are you saying?
Yeah, look, I think there's plenty of goals in this game, as the lads have already said. I definitely think we can do it. We're at home. Morgan's playing. I think it's 3-1, 4-2. I think we're going to score goals. I think we're going to really come out. The feel good factor. I'll go 3-1. I think to score 4 would be amazing. But I think 3-1 Forest.
Head elf Richard Spray.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go against the grain a little bit. I'm going to agree with the number of with the amount of goals. I think we're going to get some goals. I'm going to go a Chris Wood brace. I think he's going to eat up that middle of the defensive line because they're weak there. And I'm going to keep predicting it until it happens. Elliot Anderson gets his first goal for us, and so it'll be 3-0. I'm going to say we go clean sheet and we completely shut them down.
Ooh. Well, I think it will be a goals fest. I said the other day 4-3 against Brentford, and I think actually this is going to be the 4-3 game. And Woody is due a goal. I think he's going to get back on the score sheet. I think a hat-trick is there for the taking. And so I'm going to say 4-3.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!
We are just about out of time, guys. I wanted to leave you, though, with just a little something I wrote to take you into Christmas with. And so this is the Nottingham Forest version of an old Christmas poem favourite. 'Twas the night before Christmas at the city grounds glow, where the River Trent whispered and the wind softly blow. The garlands were strung on the strands with great care, in hopes that St. Nuno soon would be there. The fans were all dreaming of European nights, of Forest in battle beneath bright floodlights, and St. Nuno, the gaffer, with plans in his mind, ready to lead and leave rivals behind. Then out on the pitch there arose such a cheer. I peered through the mist to see who might appear. Onto the grass came a sleigh painted red, pulled by Forest's finest. To glory they sped. On Yates, on Murillo, on Wood, and on Aina, on Sangari, on Gibbs White, on Taiwo, don't dally. Fly down the wing, keep your passes so neat, dash through defenders and never retreat. With a nod to the dugout from where the legend once led, the sleigh flew by the ghost of our old big head. A grin from St. Nuno as he tipped his red cap. And out came his playbook, a magical map. The tactics were bold, the ambition was clear. To Europe we go! Forest time is now near. We'll play with our hearts, we'll fight to the end. For the Reds are returning, on this you depend. The sleigh soared away through the Nottingham night. St. Nuno was gone, but he left us the fight. And I heard him exclaim as he faded from view, Merry Christmas to Forest, all Reds, and to you. There you go. I thought I'd just leave you with a Christmas poem. This is our Christmas show. I want to say thank you very much. We haven't got time to do all the everyone final thoughts because we kind of did that on our 2-0. But Jamie Martin, Matt Druitt, Stu Freestone, the Chief Trader, Scott from Down Under, Paul Morley, Raf the Random Pundit, Landscape, Holly was with us. Ross was with us. Wolfie was with us. And Bruce. The black cat is with us as well.
It's the lucky black cat.
Lucky black cat. Listen, we got to rub the black cat. Hold the cat up, please. Hold the cat up, please.
He's got a 2. It's 2 out of 2. Hopefully.
All right, everyone, rub. There we go. There we go. I meant
that Paul Morley's draw.
The black cat, not something else. Blooming hell. Right. Okay. Richard Spray, you are my co-host, so I am going to come to you for your closing thoughts on this festive special.
So real quickly, it may be a little chaotic, but you know what? It is a reminder what an amazing blessing it is to see these guys on the screen, to have any association with them, to be privileged to know these wonderful folks. Holly, everyone else. I mean, just what a gift that is, honestly, Greg, right? I mean, every day to have a chance to kind of connect with you guys it's a real miracle for me personally, being in the middle of America and Norman, Oklahoma, nowhere. But at the same time, I also want to shout out my wife. It is her birthday today. My wife was a Christmas Eve baby, so happy birthday to one wonderful Elena Spray, the superhero that she is, the mother of my 5 kids and the chaos that is our house. Talk about chaos. So I appreciate her, and happy holidays to you guys. Merry Christmas, or whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate. Bless you guys. We appreciate you.
Brilliant. Happy birthday, Elena. And actually, I was going to add as well, it's not my wife's birthday today, but my wife is from Poland, and it is my wife's name day today, which is, if you know anything, as important and as special as a birthday. So I don't think Richard and I even knew that special day was shared by our spouses, but it's Lena's birthday, it's Evelina's name day. So sending all the best of everything to my amazing wife, who's working so hard. We have Polish Vigilia about to start, which means it's all kicking off very, very soon. However you're spending it with your loved ones and friends, family, if you happen to be on your own, then you've got our love and best wishes. And hopefully we'll be back again on the day after Boxing Day to do a review. Got Paul's episode coming out on the stats as well. That's coming out on Boxing Day. Dan's episode is out. Raf's episode is out. Blimey, what else can I say apart from we love you guys dearly. Thanks for treating us so kindly. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. We are definitely going to be...
We're on the piss with Ram and Chooser. We're on the piss with Ram and Chooser. We're on the piss with Ram and Chooser, and we're never gonna stop.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you next time.